Recycle sawdust as natural weed killer. There are many ways to recycle and reuse sawdust. One of the more popular ways is to use it as mulch for covering the soil where herbs are planted. Another way is to use it as a weed killer, which complements its use as a mulch to maintain moisture in the soil. Spreading sawdust in your garden or backyard will greatly benefit your area and save you the unnecessary burden of weeding your backyard. The steps below will give you an idea how to do this easily in your own home. Collect your sawdust and storing it properly. Get or find access to some reasonable amounts of sawdust and keep them in a dry sack. Most of the sawdust or shavings can be availed of for free in the nearest hardware supplies shop in your area. You can also buy these from suppliers, but if you are just using a sack or two, then you can just probably ask for it. Plan where to place your sawdust. Identify the area that has a history of growing weeds or areas that you want to be protected from sprouting weeds. You would also need to place some sort of barrier from the weeds, which can be made from scraps of plastic sheeting or any similar material. If in case you cannot find a cover, just leave the area as it is. Sprinkle the area with sawdust. The next thing you need to do is to cover the area with sawdust. The covering will inhibit the growth of weeds and at the same time, acts as a humidifier for the soil directly under it, which is extremely good for your plants. Know where to put your sawdust. You would need to know which areas would work best with sawdust. For sure, no one wants a backyard filled with sawdust, so it is best to contain the use of sawdust as a weed killer in plants in pots or smaller areas, since you can easily use the lawn mower to mow the weeds from the regular yard. While those in a flowerpot need to be cleaned out by hand. Choose the right sawdust. One of the best things to consider is the size of the sawdust. Others just look like loose petals and wood chips that will not help much in the suppressing of growth of weeds. The finer ones that do not leave lots of air are better forms of mulch and prevention of growth. These will really stump the growth of the weeds for sure. There are other uses for the extra sawdust in your garden. Tiny cracks and crevices in your walls can be temporarily filled in with sawdust. You can also use them to fill in gaps in your stepping stones and in other areas that need temporary filling. Sawdust can be blown away periodically, so make sure you have some more stocks to refill your plant boxes every couple of weeks or so. You can also add it to your compost pile if there is really nothing else to do with your sack of sawdust.